Thank you for
I want to start off by saying we welcome everyone here today, all our distinguished guests, parents, scholars. I want to say congratulations to you guys, to our scholars today who have worked so hard and earned that paycheck for school, right? So congratulations to you guys. I heard we have some budding geniuses in the building, so I'll keep abreast of you guys and your progress. But we want to say thank you as well to our entire scholarship committee for all the tireless efforts they have put in to making that program a success. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce the chair of the scholarships committee, Ms. Janet Barkley.
Thank you. So good to see all of you. It's been a little bit hectic around here, but I said I think all the ducks are here and maybe they're in a row. My best laugh of the day so far was when I went up and was introduced to Philip. And I said, "Are you Finley's father?" And he said, "Yes." It's his brother. I thought, whoa, I better get my eyes checked. But anyway, we're glad you're here. So, you know, something that I learned from the kids today that sort of blew my mind, they're all taking all those AP exams on May 2nd. So thank you, the 4 of you, or 3 of you actually, being present, because I would be very intimidated looking forward to that. So I want to just take a moment to have the recipients and their families stand. So right here we have DJ. And his mother and his grandparents. And I'll check with them later as to the youth bill. I said, "Grandma?" Anyway, which is great. And then here we have Joseph. Your what?
Kim Wade.
Yeah. His mother. Is that what I said? Maybe I didn't. Okay, so Joseph and his mother, and who's this lovely young lady? We have romance in the room. That's good. That's good. Romance is good. All right. Where's Finley? There you are. Don't laugh, people, but I had cataract surgery on both eyes. I'm still just just a little, and it's a good excuse. You can use it. Okay. Finley and his mother and his father. We are so delighted to have you with us. And another person we're delighted to have with us is Linda Parker, the principal, the award-winning principal from OPRF.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be here. This event is always the kickoff to end of the year for our seniors and scholarship awardees, and so it's exciting to come here. It's also very exciting to always see a full house. So thank you for your time today to honor our wonderful scholars who have put in so much work in spite of a pandemic at the start to be where they are now and to do the things that they are doing. So interesting, when I look in Joseph's face, I see Jacob as well, and Jacob did this TV thing where I did the news scene, and it was a satire, and it was so fun. And so it's great to see you here today, and DJ and Finley. So wonderful to have such wonderful individuals being honored today. And so your support means so very much for them, because this is just the start of that journey to the rest of their life. And so we all have such high hopes for them and big dreams for them, as they do for themselves. And so I hope they use this experience as that launching pad to know that they can do anything that they want to do. I am so very thankful that they've taken the time while they were in high school to be the best students that they could be, and also to take advantage of all other opportunities that help to make them such well-rounded students and able to enjoy a moment like this. So soak this in, it's just the beginning, and you are so deserving of it, and I'm just so proud of each of you for being here today. And I know some exciting people at your table who you've made their day as well, and that's your counselors. So they have been in this journey for this time with you, and they are always so pleased when all of their scholars come past them getting their diplomas, but these are also highlights for it. So I am going to turn this over to our counselors who are going to come up on the program next. Oh, okay. But thank you. I see Ms. Ambrose, I see Mr. Nixon, and I see Ms. Lynch. Oh, and I see Mr. Herbst. Thank you all so very much for being here today.
I would like to recognize James Kelleher, who's the president of the Scholarship Foundation. And Mr. Pete Nixon, who is the college counselor.
You're very great. Actually, we're all college counselors, but what I wanted to say is, first of all, it's always a tough act to follow this one. She is so charming, she captures the room, so here I am. But on behalf of our colleagues who will speak for themselves, and also those who were not able to attend today, Sherry Johnson, Janine Sandoval, my colleague Erica White, who unfortunately had sent their regrets, thank you for all your support of our students. It isn't lost on me that the power of generational continuity, the partnership between the high school and the 19th century, what used to be club, now Charitable Foundation, and so forth. The names may have changed and the genders of the recipients may have been expanded, but the fact of the matter is it's a long-standing partnership for which we're eternally grateful, and I've had cause in recent days to really appreciate the power of generational continuity and change, and it's not lost on me, all the people here who support. This is tribute to the village, not just of Oak Park and River Forest, but the village that makes students be able to rise and be all the wonderful things Ms. Parker said they can be, which I sustain. So thank you all for supporting our students and allowing us to support them as well.
Thank you. I would also like to just recognize the other counselors. Maybe you'd like to stand. Brandy Ambrose. Joseph Herbst. And also I'd like to recognize Christine Keys from the, who worked very hard putting all our scholarship work together. Thank you so much for all your hard work with making these wonderful students so productive. And now, Janet?
The first student that I would like to have come up and join me is DJ. I'm resorting to the good old alphabetical order. Hi.
Should I take up the mic?
Yes, please. Yes, yes.
Does this work? Okay, perfect. Okay.
Okay. I am so happy to meet you because I've been so impressed by your credentials that I'm happy to actually lay eyes on you.
Thank you.
First of all, I want to compliment you on earning nearly all A's. There was a itty bitty sprinkling of B's, and successfully completing 6 AP courses, which and I didn't realize you still had to take those exams. But anyway, and I hope that will mean some college credits for you before you enter college, which can be a financial savings.
Yes.
It can. I guess not all the time, but anyway. And you have a 4.73 weighted GPA. Advanced placement courses are developed for the U.S. by the College Board. I'm sure you've all heard of that. And the board has honored DJ twice already this year. It has honored him as in both National Hispanic Recognition Program, and the board honored him in the National African American Recognition Program. Plus, DJ is an Illinois State Scholar and has been selected to the Hispanic National Honor Society. That's quite a list. So how about talking to us about who has influenced you and inspired you to commit so strongly to your academics?
I said there's a pretty big list of people, but this may sound like a kind of cliche answer, but hands down it has to go to my parents. Like, ever since day one, it's always been, especially my grandpa, he tells me this all the time, you know, 2 things that you can really focus on in life. It's school and being a good person. And you know, that was kind of drilled into me. And I mean that in a very positive way, because I believe those are 2 values that you can really hold dear to yourself, and it can really make you a successful person, you know? Especially when I entered high school, I kind of realized, you know, the gravity of the situation I was in. I realized this is the entrance to the start of my life. This is where I can really start making decisions that can either positively or negatively impact me for the rest of my life. And I realized, you know, if I'm gonna start really applying myself in anything, and, you know, if I wanna do something with my life, this is where it has to start. My academics need to take priority, because this is how you become successful.
Okay, tell us a little bit about your ethnic background, and then a couple of things that you've learned or adopted from those 2 cultures.
Mm-hmm. So I identify as both African American and Puerto Rican. I'm African American on my father's side, and I am Puerto Rican on my mother's side. And something I've kind of taken from both of these cultures, and just something you can take from a lot of underrepresented cultures in general in America, is that nothing's granted to you. There's so much adversity against you. And I realized that, you know, as I'm in this room present currently, and obviously I don't mean any sort of, you know, I don't mean any sort of insult to this, but I don't see many, you know, faces of, like African American people in here. It's very underrepresented, and you can see that. And I even had a conversation with Ms. Parker about this, about how people of color are represented in high placement classes in the school. And throughout my entire academic career, I realized that I am, to almost an extreme, a minority. I am maybe one of 3 kids in all of my advanced classes of maybe 26. And at times it can seem daunting. It can seem like I don't have anyone to relate with, or maybe this isn't the right place for me. But rather, I use that kind of like as an empowerment tool. I want to show them that, despite my color, despite my race, I can still do great things. I'm sitting here right now, I'm going on to go to a great university, and I can show people, hopefully give inspiration to other people too, that, maybe they can also use their, and I said this in my essay as well, they can use, their cultural background not as an inhibitor, but as a power source.
Your mother and all of them must be so proud of you. That's amazing. Sort of as a follow-up, how important is it for you to live in an integrated community?
I'd say very honestly, because, like I said, being so underrepresented in any sort of community, whether it come down to race, sexuality, interests, anything, honestly, it can feel really lonely. I'm going to be completely honest, but through living in an integrated community, such as Oak Park, I can find people to relate to race-wise, or maybe even sexuality-wise. I can be a source for inspiration, and I have many sources of inspirations to take from. I can really apply myself truly and allow people to see me for who I am. Not as, the standout black kid in one of these classes, but hopefully rather as a intelligent student who really applies herself. And I think that only by living in an integrated community am I really able to do that. I'm very grateful for having grown up in Oak Park. I never take growing up here for granted. I'm very blessed, and it saddens me that not many other people have the ability to, grow up in a community like this. So I say it's very important to me. It's something I hold really dear to myself.
Actually, I've lived in Oak Park for more than 40 years, and it's crucial to me and the way I live and the way I manipulate, or not manipulate, but go around the village. It has to be an integrated place, and I could not live anyplace else. Anyway. In your scholarship essays, and I hope it's okay if I ask you this, and if you don't want to answer, you don't have to. In your scholarship essays, and also in the letters of recommendation written about you, I learned, as one educator commented, Dewan Cintron is the real deal and the complete package. That's saying a lot. You are described as a genuine intellectual, and your goal is to become a surgeon. And I'd like to know why, and some of that focuses on your father that impacts that goal. Would you mind sharing that story with us?
Of course. Yeah, that's a very good question, because whenever I introduce my people ask me what I want to be. That is the main source, my father. And I'm going to give a bit of background. My father tragically passed away when I was about 12, 13 years old from heart conditions. And the main reason was because he didn't take care of himself. He grew up living an unhealthy lifestyle. And to me, it really taught me that you really have, and I don't mean this in a very basic way, it's just you have to take care of yourself. But that's not the main reason I want to be a health professional. The main reason is because when I saw my father in the hospital, and I see him hooked up to all those wires, I see somewhat of a failed healthcare system. Why is it that my father can live up, in the south side of Chicago, have little healthy food options to eat, and then he's placed into a healthcare system where he passes away? Well, I want to be a surgeon, and that's something I want to do, but however, I also want to focus a lot on social reform. I want to make it to where underrepresented communities can have accessible healthcare to them all the time. It's a big issue in the medical community that I hear about even now, is that a lot of these underrepresented communities, such as places of low socioeconomic income, don't have a lot of resources available to them to get immediate health care. And to me, that really hurts, because that took away my father. I think a lot to myself sometimes, because what if he were here right now, Sometimes I really resent the healthcare industry for doing that. And I know that I can't spend my time being mad. I can't spend my time being angry, finding someone to blame. Rather, I need to use that energy within me to make a change.
Woo! Wonderful. I was told you are a gifted thinker and reader and excellent at analyzing literature and film. Would you take a few moments to tell us about a book or a film that you particularly found to be profound or exceptional?
Yes. Currently, it's actually a book I'm reading right now. It was given to me by my grandma and grandpa, and it kind of reflects on the themes I just talked about in my previous question of social reform. It's called The War on Puerto Rico, and it recounts in explicit detail what truly happened to Puerto Rico. And personally, I'm a big guy of true history. What really happened to Native Americans, or what was really happening to slaves during slavery. And it recounts what happens to Puerto Ricans. It's a very untold story. It's not even really taught at all in any sort of core curriculum in high school or any sort of school at all. And it really made me realize that both of the backgrounds that I come from, and I'd also like to, go back on the question you asked me earlier of how do my two cultures empower me. I have this history behind me, all these generations of suffering and underrepresentation. And it all leads up to here, in this present moment, where I can be kind of like a source almost, to show that all that suffering wasn't for nothing. I can be here now, and I can truly show that these two cultures, whether Black, Puerto Rican, can truly be something great. Because we all know that there is stigma in our society where people believe that these types of backgrounds aren't as capable. Whether it be internally or externally, we all have bias in our minds. And I'm here to get rid of that bias. And the book that I've been reading has shown me that I can kind of put all that history behind me. And like I said, I can use that anger of what's happened to me to continue to empower me in the future.
Well, what else can I say? You're really an amazing young man, and I expect great things of you, and I'm sure we'll hear about DJ on down the line, and I wish you great success and that you meet all of those goals. And with this family here to help you out, you're in good shape. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Joseph. Okay, you know, I did have a little bit of a preview about you and your twin brother, and that was from the dinner that Linda and Diane Pingle, it was at Linda's house. So you received a scholarship from Linda and her husband, and so I had to listen for a long time from Diane telling me how fantastic he is. But we're going to show you all. And with you, Joseph, there is so much to talk with you about, but I have to narrow it down. So let's start with entrepreneurship. That's sort of a word that really entered business vocabulary in the last couple of decades, and I'm amazed at how many entrepreneurs we have amongst our scholarship people. Here, during high school, you have started 2 businesses, one with your twin brother, and that's a documentary filmmaking business that I understand you've made commercials for local businesses.
Yeah.
Good. Then there is your business entitled Ripple. Wait till he tells you about that. And that sort of combines his passion and his compassion. So I would like for you to tell us about how it came about and who you're serving and how you are serving them.
Yeah, so at the high school, there is a business incubation class, which is kind of like Shark Tank. And people get together and kind of form groups of unmet needs and create a business to solve that problem. Gail Herman in the back over there was my mentor in the group, and so much support. But one of our group members lost his grandmother, unfortunately, in COVID, and his experience for the Zoom pandemic was just awful. And he brought the idea to us, and myself and others had similar experiences of stuff like that happening in COVID. So we interviewed over like 200 people in the Oak Park community, and a lot of other people had similar experiences. There was clearly an unmet need in that area. So we wanted to form a digital celebration of life. I know for myself, as you mentioned, I come from a family of 2 moms who are actors. So the creative arts and filmmaking and thinking of the world through a creative lens has kind of always been how my parents taught me to think. So that's when my identical twin brother and I started a filmmaking business. People love to hire 2 twins. I kind of just realized that. But I wanted to kind of combine that passion of filmmaking and storytelling and the platform that you have as a filmmaker into a business to serve people in the community and across America. So through the business that we started, Ripple, we chose the name because as someone passes on, they leave behind a ripple, and we want to just help them celebrate it. So we've been able to work with people across the community, and I've been honored as the video editor to see people's lives from baby pictures to weddings to graduations to children, and just putting it in order and interviewing their family members. That's really been impactful. I'll be honest, the first time that I was editing someone's video, I started to cry. And I think there's a moment where I'm like, am I cut out to do this? It was like a lot to be tasked with someone's life and creating a moment that they could cherish forever. But I think just knowing that I have these skills as like a teenager who's tech savvy, and I have these passions as an entrepreneur, I want to do good in the world. So after the class, we won the Shark Tank competition, and since then we've been able to launch the business. So we're now like the youngest members in the Chamber of Commerce history in Oak Park.
But stuff like that, we've been able to work with members of the 19th Century Club, and I feel truly honored to be able to be a part of that experience for everyone. But yeah, just going forward, I want to use, specifically I think like the platform and the privilege I have as a white man to use my passions and my drive just to help others through like entrepreneurship, business, or whatever. I don't exactly know what the future is going to hold yet, but I definitely want to help others, so yeah.
And that's very believable, isn't it? That he will do that. I wanted to mention that he received the most investable business award. So Ripple was the business they thought, this one we could put money in. And that was from the business incubator class?
Yeah.
That was cool. And you won first place in entrepreneurship in the DECA competition. Now, I've been hearing about DECA because I'm an educator for decades. And am I accurate in saying it's a national organization that helps students learn how to compete in business? With that?
Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of a business competition across the country. So actually, this Saturday I'm going to be competing at Nationals. OPRF represent. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that.
Okay. We wish you luck. Bring that back. All right. Well, speaking of awards, your list of awards and your community services goes on and on. So just to mention a few, you've been a part of Big Brother, Best Buddies, Student Council, NAMI Mental Health Recovery Program. You've been a camp counselor, a program leader at Seed Montessori for 3 years, working to raise money to educate about climate change. That I love. And, oh, you already mentioned youngest member ever of the Chamber of Commerce. So in all of these, you truly are helping others. And considering this list, one teacher said, at some point, I am assuming that Joey relaxes or sleeps, but I have no proof of that. So what is your motivation for all this volunteer work, and what about your involvement in the business club? What did you learn and accomplish there?
Yeah, so I just joined Business Club this year where I've been able to compete in DECA and just have experiences like that and meeting other people in the school who are as passionate about business as me. Sorry, what was the other question? Gotcha. That's, thank you. There's a lot of answers to that question, so for time I will try to keep it short. But I think it's kind of just what I said about I just want to use my platform and my passions just to really make a difference. I didn't realize this exactly, but I was talking to my mom, and I guess there are a lot of entrepreneurs in my family, whether it's window services or yoga teachers or trophy stores. So I guess there's kind of been that mindset in my family that I didn't realize till just a couple of days ago. But I think with that, you know, I don't want to go into business and, for me personally, pursue something like investment banking and just try to make as much money as I can, or stuff like that. I really want to do something that will help people. I know back, I'm at Unity Temple, the church on Lake Street, and I had to give a speech to the congregation, and I remember I wrote in it that I wanted to change the world, and someone was like, what do you mean by that? And I was like, I don't know, let me erase that. But I think since then, I want to be able to answer that question someday. That when I die, I want to know that I did everything I could to help as many people as I could, whether it's just changing one life or changing a lot of lives. I want to do what I can with my life to leave a positive impact on the world, I suppose. So yeah.
You know, we sometimes think of this generation, or it's been said, oh, they just want to go make money. And I don't think that's who we have represented here today. So that's great. Actually, what I really wanted to do when you first came on stage, Joseph, was have you perform a comedy routine. See, he's capable of that for sure. So maybe another time. In the meantime, please tell us the story about being the co-founder and co-president of the Improv and Sketch Comedy Club at the high school.
Yeah, so again, I come from a family of actors, so our family game nights would be my mom flipping through her improv book from Second City and us picking a game and performing it. So throughout my life I've been doing improv, and freshman year I was in a theater improv show at the high school, and when it was over there was no next step to do improv. So COVID hit, which kind of put a little bit of a dent on my plans, but I wanted to work with those who I was in the show with. So my girlfriend was the other co-founder, along with my twin brother. So we've all been really passionate about improv. We met at the improv show, and I think when I talked to teachers at OPRF, it was kind of surprising because we have, I think, a lettuce eating club at OPRF. So I was a little bit unofficial, but I was a little bit surprised that improv wasn't there. But I think just being able to work with a lot of these students and just seeing how much they've grown. There are some students who were, wouldn't even stand up the first couple of weeks, and now seeing just how much they've grown in their confidence and their ability to speak. OPRF is a pretty big school, but just when they wave to me in the hallway and just say hi, or like, I'm looking forward to seeing you later in the week, I just hope that I'm able to make the big school a little bit less scary and less big because we have a lot of freshmen in the club, and just kind of teach them the necessary skills that improv has, whether it relates to job interviews where you gotta think quick on your feet, or just building confidence, or even just building a nice group of friends at the high school. I'm excited that I can leave that behind to help carry on in the future, I guess.
You have something in common with President Biden. Will you tell us about that and how it is a part of your life?
Yes. Besides sharing the name Joseph with Mr. Biden, it's a very, very good name. President Biden and I also we share a stutter, which has kind of been a big part of my life. When I was in, was it preschool, Mom? Preschool, kindergarten, I was put into speech therapy because I was not able to articulate what I wanted to say or my ideas very well. I wasn't able to talk very much because of my very difficult stutter. And through that experience of connecting with students, it really helped me, improve my ability to share my ideas, my opinions, my needs, and my wants. And yeah, so I guess I still have a stutter. I think I'm doing pretty good right now. I jinx myself, knock on wood. But I learned that having a stutter, it doesn't impede me in any way that I want. Having a stutter, I want it to empower those who may not have a voice, and I want to give that option. So I do stutter on occasion, but I more think of it as a way of, I'm okay, nothing's wrong, and I can share what I want. So that's kind of it relates back to having a business. I want to use that platform, like having a microphone, to help others share their ideas and their thoughts, and help to marginalized groups, come together and and have a voice, because they often don't in this country because of the polarizing time. So, yeah.
Okay, you have also played a major role in the Model UN at the high school. So tell us a little about what that means as co-president and what you're proud of. And how did your team do in competition?
Yeah, so I heard of Model UN while watching Parks and Recreation, so I was doing a lot of research, but I was like, that's a lot of fun. I cannot wait till I get to OPRF. And then I got there and COVID hit, but I was able to join on Zoom, and I think there was not many members who were holding down the Model UN fort on Zoom, but coming every week I was able to establish my presence in the club, and I ran for president and won, and so I'm president of Model UN now. Now that it's back in person, I'm very happy that I've been able to, I'm the co-president, so there's 3 others, but I've helped, been able to grow the numbers back to pre-COVID eras, which was very difficult, but I think, again, just like Improv Club, it's truly amazing to see a lot of the lower classmen just grow as people. The club is predominantly freshmen and sophomores, and just seeing them change in their confidence ability and their speaking ability is truly incredible. So we've gone to, I believe, 3 competitions. We're going to go to the next one in 2 weeks, so stay tuned. But I'm at a loss of words, but it's very incredible to be able to see a lot of these students who didn't really know what they were signing up for, but be able to leave the competition winning awards. So I'm just very proud of everyone, and yeah, so.
We're proud of you. Well, you are an amazing young man, and I can see your sense of humor, and I love it. And someday we'll hear some of that comedy, improv, you and your mom, or whatever. So, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
I think he has some fans in here, which is great. This just is such an amazing experience up here. These kids, wow. So now we want to bring up our 3rd young man, and that's Finley Mattis. Okay. Is he making faces at me? Should we both take a deep breath? You're probably more ready than I am. Okay. During our interview for the scholarship, you were asked to describe yourself with 3 words. And you said courage, determination, and curiosity, and explained why you selected them. So I found your reasons to be very interesting. Can you share those?
Yeah, of course. I think curiosity and courage go pretty hand in hand for me. From the time I was a little kid, I always was trying a ton of activities. I never really committed down to one thing, so I always had a lot of stuff going at once. And I thank my mom every day for taking me all of them. But every time I was trying a new activity out, it was sometimes really difficult to kind of put myself out there. And it was really a vulnerable spot, especially in areas like Boy Scouts, stuff like that, where these older kids, and there was a little bit of pressure on me, with like the newcomer, to kind of meet up to their standards. So I think there was a lot of courage there in that aspect. As well, I'm 6'3", I'm pretty sure that's another question that's coming up. But I'm a big guy, so I think it's kind of felt like an obligation for me to speak up for people that don't always have as much confidence and be an ambassador for those people.
I would like to have known you when I was in high school. I I love that you described yourself as having an awkward, lanky frame. How tall are you?
6'3".
All right. Give us some details about how you have used your lanky frame to become a very successful member of the Chicago Rowing Foundation. This blows my mind that people volunteer to do this, but anyway. So tell us about how you train and how you helped create the best team culture and all of it.
Yeah, so I was always a basketball kid because of the height. So I was playing on the travel team through middle school, and then freshman year, I got kind of asked by this older kid from Boy Scouts, do you want to try this sport? And I mean, I was coming into high school, and I thought, yeah, why not? It's a time to try new things. I might as well go for a practice and see what it's like. And so he took me out, and it was instantly a game changer. The culture there was awesome, and I knew right away it was a place I wanted to be. Coming in as a freshman, you're set away kind of from the varsity, so you do basically the whole year with your peers, and it's really a time to learn the basics of the sport and put the hard work in. And then sophomore year, you come up to varsity. And so basically, you start as a newcomer, and then sophomore year, you're a newcomer all over again, except it's not the older kids. So they really built me up. I kind of owe everything to those older kids that mentored me. They've been really awesome, not just for the sport, but they've mentored me through school, through basically all aspects of my social life, my personal life. They've been there for me as well as my coach. And then coming into senior year, being a leader on the team, I really just want to give that back to those younger kids that are here now. So I think the haircut right now is for the team. We all got mullets for the upcoming race. So it's not just the stuff that happens in the boat, but the stuff outside of it, the movie nights, the dinners, is really what makes the team so strong.
Explain to them your role as the stroke.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't really know rowing terminology, but there's 8 people in the boat, and that's the big event. That's the one that everybody's trying to win in nationals. And the way it works is that you face opposite the direction you're heading. So we're shooting that way. I'm at the very, back of the boat, if the bow is that way. And everybody is following my oar. So you don't have any idea which direction you're going, but you're trying to lead everybody else that way. So it's very difficult. I think you got to keep a solid rhythm is very important. And outside of that, just personality. You have to be very positive. You have to be always optimistic, pushing everybody forward. Because if one man starts to fall, then everybody else will go. So you just got to be the rock of the team.
I would say that you rock instead. Am I too old to say that? You are an exceptionally good writer, Finn, along with all your other talents. Actually, if there were time, I'd be reading your whole essays to the audience. Instead, I've selected just a quote and asked you to elaborate. You said, I was first introduced to engineering when I joined my elementary school STEM club in 3rd grade. And then in junior high, I love this, I even signaled my interest in my first ever girlfriend by ramming her foot with a Vex robotics car. And then in high school, I filled my schedule with classes comprised of hands-on labs and pursued high-level math and sciences. So tell us about your fascination with engineering.
Yeah, it's a game back then, but not so much anymore. Yeah, 3rd grade, basically 1st through 4th was at Willard, and as a 1st and 2nd grader, you weren't allowed to join the STEM club because you weren't mature enough yet. So after school, I'd see all these kids get to hang out in the science classrooms and do all the fun projects, and I wasn't allowed in there yet. So there was always anticipation from the start, being finally old enough to get in this club. And then once it finally happened, it was the time of my life. We were doing egg drops, and just half the time we were just exploding on the ground. But it was a great time regardless. And then finally moving out 5th grade, when we went to Roosevelt, we actually had equipment so we could do some electronic stuff and build like catapults and cars and all that stuff. So it was always a love of mine, and it was just fun to do hands-on learning and trying to, I guess, basically give us free rein and build whatever we want. So it was a fun time, especially with all my friends in it, so it was a good time to collaborate too. And then coming into high school, with the rowing stuff taking off, I couldn't really join a club, but I knew it was something I was definitely still really interested in, so I did all the math and science stuff, as you said. And I think I love engineering so much because I've always found it super applicable, especially this year I'm taking environmental science, and just, I think an interest in environmental engineering would be something that really suits me. So I think it's just always been a love, and now that I'm finally learning more about other subjects, it's really combining well with everything else.
We would love to have you out there. And you did say that no matter which career I may elect, my overarching goal is to improve the world around me so that our society can become a more unified and equitable place for everyone. I certainly applaud that. That's great. I did forget to ask you if you've rammed any girl's foot with a robot car lately.
Not since then, no.
Well, the girls are missing out. You didn't do that. Okay. You know, my introduction of you has sort of a surprise ending. That the committee for scholarship and I participated in this surprise ending. I'll just ask, are you excited about the Rotary International program that you're accepting? And tell us about it.
Yeah, of course, I'm super amped. So next year I'll be going to Germany on a gap year, which I can't get excited enough. My dad did it when he was my age, so I'm kind of picking up that tradition. I think it's just going to be a great opportunity to I've been kind of inside looking out my whole life from the US, and this time I'll finally get to flip it and be outside looking in, and just really integrating and learning the culture and learning the language. And I don't know what city I'm going to yet, but depending on where I am, it can be a really different experience. So I think that'll really just help with my goal of kind of helping the globe. You can't really help the world if you don't kind of have a global perspective. So I think it'll just open up a ton of opportunities for everything I want to do in the future.
Absolutely.
I must say that I was really impressed when I did some research about this program through Rotary, and it's quite a rigorous selection process, right? So it's very impressive that Finn has been selected for that. So the compromise that we came up with is that he's going to spend 1 year in Germany, paid for by the Rotary, and then when he comes back, he'll have a 3-year scholarship from us. So that's the way it's going. So he had to make that choice as to whether or not to give up the scholarship for 1 year in order to go to Germany, and he did, and we approve and support and are extremely happy for him. Okay, those are 3 of our recipients. You're going to meet number 4 up on the screen. He's far away in California, and he'll talk a little bit about that in his interview. Okay? Thank you. All right, I'm going to just go through this really fast. He completed 11 advanced placement classes. and he started taking them when he was a sophomore. And he studied for 2 of them on his own. He had straight A's in high school, so he's one of the valedictorians. He's a scholarship cup recipient and cum laude society. He's the very first OPRF student to ever win first in state at the Science Olympiad. That's impressive. He was on the speech team. He won lots of regional championships and impromptu speaking extemporaneous and special occasion. And he was winning up against state champions. And he's on target to be named an academic All-American for his speech participation. He showed remarkable initiative when he co-founded A Step in the Right Direction, which is a 100,000 step walk challenge to raise money for mental health organizations. So he got that off the ground and raised over $21,000. He's the awardee of the Bayer Fellowship, and that's given to low-income students who demonstrate the best use of business in philanthropy. He's a member of the Future Philanthropist program and was named Young Philanthropist of the Year. Volunteered many hours on voter registration and turning out the vote in several election cycles. He traveled to Ecuador to learn about environmental issues, and he also made a study trip on a scholarship to Ireland. And he talks about this in our interview. He lived in China with his family when he was a child, and that really had an impact on him. So that was for more than 5 years. He's been a Boy Scout for a long, long time, and he's a Life Scout and a senior patrol leader. Loves camping. When a junior, he was a project intern at Thrive Counseling Service, which we've all heard of, and then a recipient of our scholarship. So that is Ezekiel. Okay. Hello, Ezekiel Wells. We're so glad that you're here and very pleased that you are a recipient of our scholarship that we give out. We have 16 students in the pipeline with these scholarships, so you're in the beginning 4 at the moment. I was curious thinking about your name. Is the name Ezekiel a lot to live up to? I mean, it's a whole book in the Bible.
Yeah, I was given a pretty unique name, Ezekiel Abundance Wells. Yeah, yes.
Oh,
But I think it's a fun name to live up to. Yeah.
where did you get your positive attitude? You just seem to have that.
I think I just I don't think I'm always positive, but I think it's a good outlook. I don't know. I can't really speak to where I get my view on the world from, but yeah, probably just growing up doing things I like.
Do you think that you're such a scientist? Do you think our brains are wired for some people to be more positive and others to be more negative?
I don't know that much to speak on that specifically, but I don't think so. I think everyone has a brain and everyone can be happy, and it just depends on life circumstances.
And they like to say being happy is a choice.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a choice that can be made easier, and it's a choice that can be made harder. But I think it to some extent it's a choice.
That's a good point. Yeah, what's happening in your life can affect that.
Right.
Well, speaking of science, I'd like to hear about the, do you say early, or do you say the IRGI?
You say it. Yeah.
So that one is sometimes keeping you up all night. Tell us about it.
Yeah, yeah. That class, it's a class for juniors and seniors at Oakland High School, and I think to give a little background about what I'm doing, uh, the class basically takes students in, and it really puts you right in the work of things, and um, you start off by reading journal article after journal article and reading all the new literature on any research topic. And what I looked into was the development of renewable energy during wastewater treatment. And everyone had their project and everyone worked on a research paper. So with this topic, I spent a lot of late nights, a lot of early mornings at a coffee shop or something else. And uh, during the first semester, kind of is when we do the bulk of the work. So yeah, that was definitely a lot, but it was something that I was very fulfilled by. I've always been very interested in environmentalism and sustainability. I grew up in China where from the ages of 4 to 9, there were a lot of issues with climate change that we lived on a day-to-day basis. I had asthma until probably middle school all because of the environment. There were people who had other environmental issues, and it became something that's a lot more real with the sky never being blue and all the other things that global warming and climate change can have on ordinary citizens. I think that really brought me towards or made environmentalism later on feel a little more real to me. And then also just liking the outdoors and being involved with Boy Scouts and all those other things where I get to go camping, I get to experience nature. I think it was very much instilled in me this value of the environment and being able to work on actual research and contact people who are actually researching this topic in the field and become one of those people was a really great opportunity, and I'm super glad that the staff and everyone at OKR really makes it possible.
Because you have to be recommended to take that class, right?
Sure. I'm actually not sure. But I think everyone in that class is very capable of doing it.
How many students are in that class?
I think this year it's somewhere around 18. I think it fluctuates year to year though.
That's a nice size class.
It's a great size, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Tell us a little bit more about China in terms of, I was thinking that Americans tend to only define the Chinese through our image of the Communist Party. And I think you came away with a different observation. Tell me what you learned from the Chinese.
Yeah. So China, going in, I think it is easy to have that mindset on how much the government has an influence over its public image. And I think to an extent that's true. I think there's a lot of things that China has issues with and a lot of things that I think could be better. But I think there's also a lot to be said about the people of China and what I learned from them. Uh, One thing that I think was notable, I think I was reading it somewhere, that when describing the positive attributes of oneself, people in countries like China describe what best allows them to succeed on a team. And in the United States, they describe what best allows them to succeed individually. And there's a merit to both the individualism and collectivism of each country. But I think there's something to be said about that group mentality. And I think there are good things and bad things. But I think regardless of what the government does, I think the people are very much distinct from the government in a lot of ways. And it was something that I think more so than any mentality of the country, I just found that that there's a lot of misconceptions in the world, and I think by going into life so early on with that knowledge that all of those misconceptions are probably not true, and that people are so wildly different, and having that perspective really allowed me to better understand things and better understand people.
I was intrigued that you said that the people on their own, without the government, were working on sustainability, on what you're studying.
Yeah, yeah.
So
No,
they worked independently to try to.
in what area? In with
Environmentalism.
Yeah, I think well a lot of it's associated with colleges and some with government too. But yeah, no, there's a lot of people working on it, and some with companies too. So it's a lot of angles that I can also end up taking to work on the issue.
Good. What did you learn to speak Chinese? Because you said you went to a regular school.
Yeah. So for my first 3 years in China, I was put in a public school. I had 2 years of kindergarten and first grade in China, or in their public education system. And that really, I learned how to speak Chinese. I gained a lot of experience on what the ordinary Chinese citizen, at least in Chengdu, lives like. And then the second 2 years, still all Chinese, but it was this private school. My parents wanted to get us out of the Chinese public education system because it had its own flaws. Um, and the second school though still was everyone. I was the only one from out of the country. And, yeah, it definitely gave me that experience in Chinese and all that other stuff.
And then you've also been to Ireland and Ecuador. Can you give me a quick rundown as to how that happened?
Yeah, Ireland. I ended up getting the scholarship to travel abroad for this entrepreneurship program, and I got to explore that side of Europe. I really liked the nature. I really liked the people. I thought it was a really fun country. And then Ecuador was last summer through this program called Global Glimpse, and they take a bunch of people from, or they in our group it was a bunch of Chicago area people, and took us down to Ecuador. And that was a lot of things about indigenous people, a lot of getting to know Ecuador better, and also getting to know the people from Chicago better.
Do you feel like you're sort of already an international citizen?
I think so. Yeah. I think. Well, I'm also working on my Polish dual citizenship, so quite literally. Yeah.
You have been a leader in many organizations, and so what are the skills that you have that make you successful as a leader?
I think so. I think there are a lot of skills that help me, and then some I'm obviously still working on. For a lot of my things, I think I value being on a team and working together to build that. In Science Olympiad, for example, we definitely, when I took charge, it was a lot of people in the class above just left. So we were starting from very few numbers, and we still had a great base of support, but definitely building that up and building a team cohesion to have fun and do well was really important. And I think something I'm really proud of for the team is that now we're competitive at the state level. But also, I think we have the most fun out of everyone there, in my biased opinion. Because we, we'll go outside, we'll do things during competitions, and it's about competing, sure, but it's also about having fun with the team. And I think the whole team has really built that. So I'm really happy with that sort of atmosphere that can be created. And I think leadership is about building that atmosphere and working with other people to build that atmosphere. In Boy Scouts, I did some leadership there. I led during much of COVID, and I think that I was very eager to get us camping again, and I think we were able to be successful to some extent. But then part of that too is learning the patience and learning how to um, deal with things and adapt. So I think adaptability and being able to be patient, being able to still bring that team together. And then on a more personal side, I do some snow shoveling work and all that. And I think another important thing that I'm starting to work on more is delegation and making sure that I can give tasks to people and separate things off into different groups so that within the general team, sub teams can be broken down. And I don't have to worry about that one thing. So even if that's hiring someone during snow shoveling, for example, I think that's something definitely to be worked on. But something I'm definitely reaching for.
So you are really, excuse me, an entrepreneur, and that's something you want to pursue, it sounds like.
I think so. I'm not entirely decided on all of that, but it's something that definitely intrigues
me. You mentioned the Science Olympiad.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say congratulations on being the first OPRF high school student to win first in state in that competition.
Thank you.
And that's like 250 teams.
Yeah. Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah.
So looking ahead, what are you wanting to do in your future?
I'm definitely at a point where I'm deciding things, but I think I'm very excited about where I'll go and what I'm studying. I'm definitely gonna do probably a double major in either environmental science or engineering, as well as economics, human organizational development, or some sort of businessy type of thing, and then explore that area of entrepreneurship and go further with that. And nonprofits, maybe work in startups, maybe work for companies, but with the goal of achieving sustainability, with the goal of doing something meaningful with it. I'm looking for colleges. I've narrowed it down to some. I won't be in attendance because I'll be flying out to USC that weekend. But I'm deciding between a few, and I think probably where I'll end up is Harvard to do that double concentration, environmental science and economics.
And then where do you see yourself after Harvard?
Definitely taking advantage of that time and really exploring all the internships and opportunities to see what I like to do. This summer, I'll be working as a Bank of America student leader, and it's basically a group where I'll be interning, and I'll be paid by Bank of America to intern for this nonprofit management position at a local nonprofit, and more just to get an idea of what that is like and gain some insight on that. And during my summers in college, I want to see what startup things, what organizational things I can do using that background in science. And then after that, I want to maybe found a company, maybe work within a company, to do something related hopefully to sustainability and management.
Well, I tell you, based on this list that we have up here of your accomplishments in high school, I see no limitations.
Thank you.
You can take over the world. It's really a pleasure to talk with you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to be here, and thank you.
And we want to hear from you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
This is Ezekiel Abundance Wells' mother. So we're going to let her tell you about maybe tell them about the Harvard situation or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
Where's Ezekiel?
Okay, so hi, I'm Jane Zawodowski, different last name,
And Zeke right now is in Los Angeles for the USC tour. And it was, well, actually the University of Wyoming was the first school that he got accepted into, which I don't want to diss any school, you know, the schools are all great for who goes there. And they've been sending us really a lot of cool information. But USC was the first school that he really, really considered going to. And so we immediately booked flights there because we're like, well, of course that's where you're going to go to school. Didn't know he'd get in anywhere else or anything. So he's there right now, and I was there with him until 6 o'clock this morning. I took a flight back. He's actually with your brother, with Josh, and so it's a small, beautiful world, and we enjoyed our travels together. He did a 17-mile hike yesterday. Wow. And actually, the way that I phrased the thing that he did for the mental health awareness is he walked 52 miles in one day. Wow. So that 100,000 steps translates that way, that he walked from 4:30 in the morning until 10:30 at night, and it was a lot of endurance, a lot of positivity. They have strategies like having music or have friends join them on the way and things like that. And so, well, then he kept either not getting or getting into places. So he didn't get into Stanford. I don't know how much you want me to say, but so we just kind of like got lots of news about lots of places. And then we found out he got into Vanderbilt, so we jumped in the car to Nashville and attended a student day there. And I stayed with a friend of mine from college, and Zeke left his tennis shoes at my friend's house. And my friend mailed his shoes back with like a little Nashville guitar, like, come on over to Nashville. And he loved that school as well. And then he, ultimately, long story short, he is going to Harvard. So, yeah, it's actually really exciting. I'm very, very excited for my son, of course, and he'll be doing environmental engineering and economics, and maybe also business, and maybe also everything. And let's see, so, I don't know what you want me to say. Well, you know, there's three things come to mind about how I've called Zeke in the past. And one of them was Bulldozer Baby, because he was big and also fearless. And then I also called him like my child who would not die if I put him in a forest. He'd be able to find his way out. So he's resourceful and can just connect the dots or something. And then, you know, I also called him like my Buddha boy, because he does have a sense about him that's really tranquil, but also like engage with people or something. And right, so we did live in China for 5 years, and he got a Tibetan monk that just like came and took him in, sort of, and it was amazing that it wasn't planned, but the monk just really connected with him.
And would that have been when he was only 5 years old?
It was like 6 or 7, yeah. Or maybe a little older, maybe 8, I don't know.
He said he was there from age 5 to 9,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I'm telling his mother, she was there.
Yeah.
And why were you in China? I never heard that part.
Oh, well, we were there because I am Polish. My parents are from Poland, and it was my first language. And I feel like I present just as an American. You know, people wouldn't know that by looking at me. And so I always carried with me a knowledge of the wider world. And so I really wanted to show my children that there was a wider world out there. I too lived in Germany instead of my senior year of high school, and had other international experiences. But so one day, my husband at the time, basically, there was politics at work and he wasn't gonna be working there anymore. So by the time that he got home, I was like, great, now we can go live abroad, like we've talked about. And so it took a few years, had a third baby in the meantime. They kept, we wanted to go somewhere Spanish speaking because it's so immediately applicable to our country. we toyed with Egypt for a while, but long story short, we went to China because we realized, well, they have a need, our organization has a need, this organization that takes families has a need for people in China, like just to teach English. It wasn't really what I wanted to do, but I thought, well, I don't want to be arrogant about where I'm going in the world. If I want to connect with the world, I'll just go wherever, like where there's a need. So it really clicked. I did arrive at the interview, it was the day that Barack Obama was getting sworn in here, and so I had a little bit of an attitude because they were taking away my party time. And they still took us, and we went. And we were only supposed to stay for 3 years, but we really liked it. And then we keep visiting as much as we can. We have a lot of good friends there, yeah.
You know, Zeke made an interesting comment. He said that in terms of the Chinese, he saw everyday Chinese taking upon themselves to do ecological work and all of that. So it didn't have to depend upon the Communist Party. So I just thought that was interesting because we usually think of the Chinese as part of the Chinese, or part of the Communist Party, and it can be very separate. But
yeah, the people are different always from the government. And,
yeah.
And well, one example is that there was a wall around our university, and it was sealed off because of like H1N1, I think, in 2009. And so I found a hole in the wall, and I was jogging, so I jogged outside the hole, and I had brought seeds with me from America to plant because I like to garden, and it became my whole Chinese family. And like they actually have buildings where it will end here, and then there's a trough where water comes out, the wastewater of the building, and you get a bamboo pole across your back with buckets on either end, and you like use that water to water your garden. So that's what I did. It was great. One example of that.
All right, does anybody have a question for Jane? I know we need to close. It has been a powerful day, and I'm so delighted to see all of you, and thank you, Linda, for your lovely words, and thank you, 3 young men who are going to make an impression on this world, and it's so exciting. So we're happy to be a part of your life. So thank you, everybody. We have Ruth, who's going to tell us about our liaison program.
Hi. All of the committee members from the scholarship committee are called liaisons. We keep in touch and actually pester you all the time to send us notices about what you're doing, what's happening at school. We enjoy hearing from you and oftentimes pass on all that information to Brian, who does our scholarship corner in the newsletter, so you can from time to time read about yourself in our newsletter too. We want to build a relationship with you. We're going to know you and see you for 4 years. You will receive things by email and text, birthday cards, regular cards, notes, and so on. And you're returning those, which you all promised to do at your interview. We mentioned this then. We do really love hearing from you. And knowing about all the things you're doing. And someone else mentioned this, but I'm always amazed at when do you find time to sleep or eat dinner? Because you all have long lists of accomplishments and things that would keep you very, very busy. So that's what committee members don't just see you in the spring, but we do keep in touch with you all the time. And you will be sent the newsletter, also probably emailed to you, so you can really read about each other. It's just been wonderful to meet all of you. And now people who said, oh, you picked 4 boys. Now you know why these 4 boys were picked, because they're all just this outstanding people. everybody. We have a couple of liaisons here, Jean Louise, and Ann, if you want to come up. I know you have something to present. You need to say anything? Okay.
Hello. I just want to say one thing. We're called liaisons because we couldn't find a better word to describe what it is we do with their kids. They were connected with you, but that's the best we could come up with. So, am I supposed to make this? Okay, so I have two things. Ann has two things. You have first check. All of the scholars get a certificate of scholarship from the 19th Century Club.
I'm Joan Lenny, and Don couldn't be here this afternoon. So he's the public address major. So I'm going to read. I said, then you have to write something for me. So he did. He said, we trust that you have enjoyed the opportunity to learn about the amazing talents and abilities of this year's scholars. I certainly have. We are grateful to many who have provided support for the club's scholarship program. Allow me to diverge a moment to offer praise to three very special people, and I'd like them to step forward. Janet Barkley, Carol Galvanoni, and Brian Flores. Has been the chairman of our committee for the last 4 years. Through COVID, she held our hand. She helped us maneuver. Janet has just gone the absolute extra mile serving for 4 years as our committee chair. My husband and I are going to be two of us, trying to follow in her footsteps. The number of committee meetings she's gone to, kind of, oh, you went there too, you know. Where would we have been without her steady hands on the wheel and her attention to detail? Let me tell you about Carol. Carol also has been, for many years, been one of the detail persons, in addition to serving as co-chair for multiple years. Brian Flores, did he? Okay. Brian Flores, when I joined the committee, he was the only man. And I was kind of in awe of him. I was paired with him to just read through some of the scholarship applications. But he is an amazing person. He has handled that writing and keeping you up with what's going on with our scholars, putting the fire under us to contact you. So we really do appreciate. One of the ways that we earn money is to keep you visible. So there is a reason, you know, that besides, we all want to know what's going on in your life and how successful you are. So I'd like to give you also a certificate. And this is to Brian in recognition of many, whoops. This is too many things. We need a podium. In recognition of many years of dedicated authorship of the 20th Century Association's newsletter, Scholarship Corner, this certificate of appreciation is awarded to Brian. Carol, in recognition of many years of dedication and leadership as committee co-chair and members of the 19th Century Association Scholarship Committee, this certificate of appreciation is awarded to you. Janet, in recognition of many years of dedication and leadership as committee chair and member of the 19th Century Association Scholarship Committee, this certificate of appreciation is awarded to you. And I hope you'll be there for me. As I said, it takes many people to keep the scholarship program running. the very dedicated staff at OPRF. Pete Nixon, we couldn't do it without you. And Christine rescued us throughout this whole thing. You were absolutely wonderful. And I don't believe she's here today, Sherry Johnson, but she is the person that delivered all the applications and even picked them up, and you wouldn't believe how many pages we're talking about. I have to thank the 11 committee members, and a huge shout out to all the very generous donors. We encourage everyone now to join us in the living room, which is out there, for coffee, tea, and refreshments, and an opportunity to come up and shake the hand and meet these scholars. So thank you for being here.
So Rose was there. Rose was there.